Hey ladies and gentlemen, Wolfcryer here with another Monk build guide for patch 2.6.1, the upcoming patch for season 12. And this is a build guide for the Sunwuko's Lashing Tail Kick speed farming build. Alright, so what I did with this build guide is I ran several GR63s, which are pretty equivalent to Torment 13 Nephilim runs, and I dropped my Paragon down to 800, and like I said, I ran several runs, and what I came up with for an average run time is 2 minutes 25 seconds, and that is throwing out the lowest run I got, which was 1 minute 39 seconds. I threw that out of the average because those rifts are going to be few and far between. So this is a very, very fast speed farming build indeed. It does lag a little bit behind both Wave of Light and the Demon Hunter's multi-shot build, but overall a very fast and very fun build to run while you are farming Torment 13 or GRs between 60 to 75. Now I also did a GR80 with this build in about 4.5 minutes. So like I said, very fast build, very, very good at speed farming and speed leveling up those Paragon gems or your base gems for whatever build you're running. So you guys definitely have some options when it comes to speed farming in the upcoming season, and I really enjoy this build. Like I said, I find it very, very fun. And just like its more powerful brother, the Wave of Light build, this build focuses on the 6-piece set bonus for the Sunwuko's Monkey King's Garb. With that set bonus, Lashing Tail Kick, Tempest Rush, and Wave of Light deal 1000% increased damage per stack of Sweeping Wind. And this stacks up to 10 times using the Vengeful Wind weapon, which we'll get into in just a moment. So that is a 10,000% damage increase for your Lashing Tail Kick. Now for this set you are going to be wearing the gloves, the shoulders, the chest piece, pants, and the amulet, and you're going to cube the Royal Ring of Grandeur, which is going to give you that 6-piece set bonus while wearing just those 5 pieces. And for your helm you're going to be running Guyana na Kashu, the Spirit Stone that increases your Lashing Tail Kick damage and launches a fireball directly in front of you every time you cast Lashing Tail Kick. So there's going to be fireballs all over the screen while you are doing this, and it just puts out a massive amount of damage. The other thing I run is Witching Hour. Witching Hour adds a ton of damage to this build, and you no longer need Kayashiro's Soul. I did not really run into that many problems where I was losing those Sweeping Wind stacks because LTK no longer consumes a stack whenever it's cast, and for the most part, if you're running through dry areas in the rift, just press the button, and it's not going to be a big deal. Another piece of gear that I run is Rivera Dancers. Very, very important with this build. Lashing Tail Kick's damage is increased by up to 300% and it attacks 50% faster. These are absolutely necessary. And for your rings, you're going to be running Convention of Elements. When this rotates over to the fire rotation, you are going to deal massive amounts of damage and pretty much one-shot everything you hit when it's on that fire rotation. And if I am farming T13 Nephilim rifts, I run Avarice Band, and this is going to allow me to pick up those progression globes without manually moving over them, and it's going to allow the rift to progress faster and faster because I'm just going to be bouncing from elites, grabbing those globes, grabbing the DBs, and moving on to the next elite pack. So very, very useful in this build indeed if you are running Torment 13 Nephilim rifts. Now if I was running GRs, instead I would run an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, which is going to allow your Blinding Flash and Epiphany to come up cooldown very, very quickly. So in addition to the Ingeome that you're running, Obsidian Ring just makes everything come off cooldown so super, super fast because your LTK is triggering the active of your Obsidian Ring. Now, because this is a speed farming build for your bracers, I run Nemesis bracers. This allows shrines and pylons to spawn an additional elite pack, which is going to trigger your Ingeome and give you more DBs and more progression in the Rift. Now, for your weapons, I use Ingeome. Your skill cooldowns are reduced by 10 seconds for 15 seconds after killing an elite pack. This is very helpful in allowing your dashing strike to come off cooldown so that you can dash right to another elite pack, kill it, rinse and repeat. And for your other weapon, you need Vengeful Wind. Increase the maximum stack count of Sweeping Wind by up to 7 stacks, which gives you that 10 stacks. Now, with these runs that I did, I only had 9 stacks because I have not gotten a very good 10 stack Vengeful Wind on the PTR, and I didn't really have one in my mail or anywhere else so that I could practice with 10 Sweeping Wind stacks. So keep that in mind. The time might actually come down with 10 stacks of Sweeping Wind instead of 9. So I only had that 9,000% damage bonus during these runs that averaged 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Now, over on the cube, I run Scarbringer in the cube just because 600% damage increase is a massive damage increase to the first 7 enemies hit. This is one of the new buffed items in this current patch, patch 2.6.1, which will go live eventually. But this weapon is very, very useful in the cube. If you do have a very, very good one, you could wear it and obviously switch out one of your other weapons to the cube. But those 3 weapons are very, very important to this build, especially for speed farming. And in the armor slot, I use Laws of Seth. Using Blinding Flash restores 165 spirit. This is a very, very spirit costly build. So you're going to want to make sure that you have spirit up all the time in order to cast your Lashing tail kick and deal tons of damage to everything near you, especially those elite packs. So you're going to want to make sure you have your spirit up every time you engage an elite pack. Now let's talk about the gems that we're using. We're using Bane of the Trapped, which is going to increase your damage by a certain percentage to everything that is under the effects of a control impairing effect. And when you reach level 25 with this gem, it becomes a control impairing effect, always giving you that damage bonus to everything around you. And I use Bane of the Powerful. Gain 20% increased damage for several seconds after killing an elite pack. And at level 25, you gain 15% increased damage to elites and take 15% less damage from them. Very useful. This is going to trigger all the time, just like your Ingeome, because you're going from elite pack to elite pack. And if I'm Nephilim farming, I use Boon of the Hoarder. This is going to allow me to move faster through the Rift when my dashing strike is on cooldown, because every time I pick up gold, I increase my movement speed. Now, if you're in GRs, go ahead and switch off to Wreath of Lightning, which pretty much does the same thing. It imbues you with lightning, and whenever you have that Wreath of Lightning on, you are moving faster. Alright, so now that we've got the gear and the gems out of the way, let's talk about the skills. First up, I use Lashing Tail Kick, Vulture Claw Kick. This is your only source of damage. This is going to deal a ton of damage right away and burn enemies for 230% weapon damage as fire over 3 seconds. You're pretty much not going to even notice that because most elites are just going to explode when you hit them. So in the beginning, while you're building up your stacks, this is a very, very good skill to have. Then I use Blinding Flash, Faith in the Light. Every time you cast Blinding Flash, you deal 29% increased damage for 3 seconds. And since you're using Laws of Seth in the cube, that's already giving you back that spirit. You don't have to run Replenishing Light, so I would definitely go with the damage increase. Then I use Epiphany Desert Shroud, and this is going to give you a 50% damage reduction as well as increasing your spirit regeneration. Like I said, this build sucks a lot of spirit, so definitely useful to have this up as often as possible. And then for the speed farming version of this build, I use Dashing Strike, Way of the Falling Star, which is going to give you movement speed every time you Dashing Strike. So while that dashing strike is on cooldown, you're moving a little bit faster thanks to this and your Wreath of Lightning or your Moon of the Hoarder. And this skill is going to allow you to just navigate right through the rift to the next elite pack because of your Ingeom, so very, very useful skill to have. Then I use Mantra of Salvation Agility. This is purely for defensive purposes. And if you want even more movement speed, feel free to use Mantra of Conviction Annihilation, which is going to make you move even faster. But for the most part, I don't think speed, as far as movement speed, is very important because I'm just using my Ingeom proc to just dash all around the map to the next elite pack. So I don't think it's really necessary to switch off to Annihilation. Just use your Mantra of Salvation Agility. This is going to allow you to stay alive during the rifts because that's also helpful in progressing the rift faster. If you're dying all the time, it's not going to be very efficient whatsoever. So Agility, very good. If you're looking for more movement speed, Annihilation. Then we have Sweeping Wind Inner Storm. This is going to allow you to regen your spirit while your Sweeping Wind is active, and you definitely want to make sure Sweeping Wind is active at all times with this build. So if you run into those dry areas in a rift, make sure you're clicking the button to keep your Sweeping Wind active and keep all those stacks up so that the next elite pack you encounter just dies instantly. Now for your passives, first up I use Near-Death Experience. This keeps me alive when that occasional explosion would have killed me or something like that. So I do run Near-Death Experience. You can run with something like Resolve instead or even Fleet-Footed for that extra movement speed. But like I said, with the Ingeom procs and your Dashing Strike, you're pretty much not going to need super massive amounts of movement speed. I think the Wreath of Lightning and Way of the Falling Star are definitely going to allow you to progress through this rift fast enough. Then I use Seize the Initiative. Dealing damage to enemies above 75% life increases your attack speed by 30%. This is just going to assist you in just obliterating those elite packs because you're going to be able to get your attacks off very quickly in the beginning. Boom, 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 elite pack's dead. Move on to the next elite pack. And I use Beacon of Ytar, reduce all cooldowns by 20%. Cooldown reduction is very useful in this build, so definitely have Beacon of Ytar. And last but not least, I use Harmony because I have a lot of secondary resistances on my gear, and this allows 40% of your single elemental resistances to become all resist instead. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have my build guide for the Sunwuko's Lashing Tail Kick speed farming build, which is, like I said, it is a very, very fast and very, very fun build indeed. Settle around with it. Let me know if you have any different ideas for the build to make it even faster. Let me know that in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys so very, very much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I greatly appreciate it always. And thank you guys once again. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you guys have a great day. Peace.